Basically, in my role as the head of Women's Wing with PSP, which was started since GE2020, we wanted to talk about the validation of every Singaporean woman's experience. So whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're a caregiver, whether you've gone through hardship with mental health issues, we wanted to give a platform to each and every woman. And alongside with that, our focus was really on one of inclusivity. And one of the major pieces of legislation which I've championed through the Women's Wing is to work in collaboration with our NCMPs to come up with suggestions for the workplace fairness legislation. So that was actually one major breakthrough for us as a party as well as for the Women's Wing. And for myself, what I wanted to present today, because you've heard a lot from the different candidates across multiple parties, I want to show us as a team that is here to bring forth solutions. So the next future leap that we are all talking about in terms of robotics, AI, disruptive technology, we have all the grounds covered in our team today. So what we wanted to do really is to show that we have the expertise to address the immediate economic problems that are facing Singapore as well as the larger ASEAN and the greater world. It's not going to be the actual building because it's dependent on a lot of considerations such as budget, regulatory approval, so on and so forth. But an ideation of some of the plans that we have in view that we think can help address the concerns of local residents. So the key imagery that we have is actually one of a bamboo pavilion, and personally the inspiration comes from the Green School in Bali, where we are essentially talking about creating a new holistic environment that will inspire the next generation of children to think about the space that they would like to grow up in, the kind of educational environment that they can be inspired to become the next generation of leaders to bring Singapore forward. And it's with that inspiration in mind that we actually want to create this alternative space that will integrate the amenities across the different generations.
Now, the important thing is why I look forward to go to do this is because there's a lot of jobs in my capacity for Singaporeans, right? The seniors are losing their job. And I have talked to people, friends, Singaporeans, residents, even the residents I spoke to that lost their job. They are so young. They're even 45 years old. And even up to 60, they're still strong. But they lost the job because of the giving opportunity to others to that, which you know what the market is all about. So when I'm elected in the parliament, I want to talk about this because these are the experienced majority of almost all in the industry I work, where it's oil and gas construction. We are all contractors. We are all on contracts. There's no more permanent staff. There's very few permanent staff, and we don't know about our future, whether we can sustain our income, whether we can, we might lose the job. The other thing is, with our party manifesto, we are also looking at managing high costs, affordability of housing, and instead of giving the youngsters that at the age of 35 they can apply the house, why not 28? Because the generation now, they want to fly on their own. And parents also will say, in reality, they would want the youngsters to move on their lives. And we should give them the opportunity to expand themselves.
A lot of jobs, especially those in their 40s, 50s and 60s, have been displaced because of the gig economy. So, yes, the government has provided training and heavy subsidies for upskilling. But then after that, then what? Do they have jobs available? The problem is after they qualify, the employers are not willing because of their age. So this issue has not been addressed squarely by the government. So when we are in Parliament, we will urge the government to come up with a good plan for this significant group of Singaporeans who are facing a really hard time. The other end of the spectrum is young graduates. We have the top-class universities in the world, be it in university and poly. But the problem is only the top, higher-level people can find jobs. But the lower end of the spectrum, they are finding real difficulty getting a job. So I feel that we need to address why are we having foreigners, we are not xenophobic against foreigners. As long as we don't have the skill sets, I think it's about time as a country we got to look after our own citizens first. Our own young children can't find jobs and they start doing Grab delivery and all that. Nothing against Grab delivery, earning an honest living. But are they underemployed? Is this what we are doing? And the third issue is housing, affordable housing. During my time, housing was with about 3 to 4 years of our annual income, you can afford to buy a house, a reasonable 3 or 4 room or even 5 room house. But now it takes about 10 years or more. And that's why you see a lot of people are afraid to get married, because first you need a home, then before you can start having children and all that.
My team and I have walked the grounds of Tengah, Chua Chu Kang, for the better part of a year. We have engaged the residents there. We have spoken to many small business owners. We understand their needs, we hear them, we listen to them very carefully. It is clear to us that there is a shifting demographics within this particular GRC, especially in the area of the first-time young voters. They demand more transparency, advocacy, and more importantly, they say that they want a better balance of discourse, of pushback in Parliament. I think that this is something which they wonder to themselves why it doesn't exist now. Singapore is a country that embraces digitalization, embraces technology. However, a lot of that will bring a lot of pressure to our middle class, middle-aged workers at 35 to 45 years old, or maybe even 50 years old. When you have to come home and you tell your wife, your mother, your children that you have been asked to go, it is traumatic. So when elected into Parliament, this is one of the key causes that the PSP will definitely champion: a sustainable minimum wage, which will be a very important socio-economic policy.
Chua Chu Kang is actually very close to us. And I think with all the new changes, I feel that the electorate has slightly changed now. And we comb better now. The first GE was a little bit of a mess, I must confess, because I was trying to get footprints. So we were not sure. But then we went back, re-examined ourselves, and found that we had a lot of deficiencies. And we are not afraid to admit that we have deficiencies. So we cover up those deficiencies. We carve out Chua Chu Kang, and we comb Chua Chu Kang according to what we will tell you, but that how we feel that would give us an advantage for this coming election. And I also want to add that actually there's a lot of resettlement also. So when we study the pattern, my old patients also around there. So I want to take advantage of my role as a doctor, not only in Chua Chu Kang, in Jurong, because that's the whole area which I had my practice. And we hope that my patients will understand that what I helped them in the past. Well, they must know that I'm very serious when I looked after my patients, and I'm sure they know that I'm serious. When I bring a team of people there to run, they must also be very serious in what you want to do.